Unmute. Sorry about that. I was muted. Anyway, this is Virginia Milner with the DeKalb County Library System, and I have a piece that I've been wanting to do for a while. It's a statement piece. The kits have been ready for a month, and I have just been chomping at the bit to get this one out to you. So today is the day. So we're going to, I can't really explain it. You're going to have to see it, but we're going to be using some really pretty, what have I got here? Somebody told me what this is. It's blue agate, blue something agate. But we're going to be using stone beads, chain, artistic wire, and jump rings. That's the whole thing that we need to make this piece, this statement piece that we're going to put together in a minute. Now, the components of it are very standard and basic. The whole thrust of it is how it's put together, how it's constructed and designed. So I'm really excited to do this one. I'm going to go ahead and get started so that you can see what it's going to look like. All that we're going to need are the usual tools, our round nose pliers that the jaws are completely round all the way around. They taper up to the tip and get a little smaller as they go. We have our square or chain nose pliers that are slightly rounded on the outside and flat on the inside. That will help create a square shape. And our cutters that we're going to use to cut our wire. We also need a ruler to measure. And as I mentioned, we're going to be using 20 gauge wire, chain, and stone beads, 2 sizes of stone beads. That's all we need. Let's get started. Let's go ahead and get down here to the mat and get going. Okay, like I said, we'll be using some large stone beads. I'm using blue lace agate. The ones that you're going to get, they're all going to be different in the kits, but they'll be fairly large to create our statement piece. And I'm also using some lapis rounds. These are 6mm rounds. Again, the kits will all have something different in them. And our chain that we're going to use as a connector and 20 gauge wire. Now, the first thing that you need to do is measure your beads. Again, these are all, they're not cut the same size. As you can see, these are 2 completely different sizes. So what you're going to need to do to make your lengths, this is just my regular length. I'm going to measure the bead. In this case, it's a little more than an inch. And I'm going to give myself an inch of wire on each side. So I need an additional 2 inches of wire. In this case, about 3 and I think it was about 1 1/8. So about 3 1/8 inches of wire is what I need for my first length that I'm going to do. So I'm going to cut that. Normally I would maybe cut them all at the same time, but because these are all different sizes, I can't do that. So I've got my wire, and what I'm going to do is measure about 1 inch from the end, bend my wire back, and I'm going to make my first loop. So I'm going to slide my pliers down, my wire down about, a third of the way down my pliers. I don't need a huge loop, just large enough for the jump ring to go through. So I've slid my wire about a third of the way down my pliers. So I'm going to bring this short tail of wire over the top of my pliers and down the side so that's running alongside the long wire that I have here. Then I'm going to bring that short tail. I'm going to open up my pliers without shifting my wire and rotate it back, just reposition it so that now I have like a little T shape with the pliers flat on top and the wire hanging down the side. And I'm going to bring that short tail of wire under my pliers like so, until I have a loop. So now I have a loop, and I'm going to wrap that. So I'm going to bring this down a little bit closer. People tell me the zooming in helps a lot with being able to see what I'm doing. So I'm going to go ahead and let go of my round pliers, grab my square pliers, and slide them right on the face of my loop, just above the tail. Then I'm going to bring that short tail and I'm going to wrap it around the long tail. And I like to use my pliers as a guide. If I wrap it right along the top of my pliers, I get a nice close wrap. Second wrap is going to be just below the first. I only need to wrap it 1.5 to 2 times. That is plenty. And once I have that wrap, I can cut off this little tail because I don't need it. So I'm going to go ahead and snip that off. Snip off that little tail. And if it's long enough for you to hold on to, you want to grab it with your fingers so it doesn't go flying across the room. Snip that off. Put that out of the way. And somebody is calling me. I don't know why. Sorry about that. And no, I accidentally put that. Sorry about that, folks. I need to silence my phone. Let's see if I can do that. I'm just having one little crisis after another. All right. So now that I have my little wrapped loop, I'm going to grab my square pliers and push this little tip down. It's a little clearer. So this little tip that's sharp edge there, I want to push that down so it doesn't snag on anything. There we go. Nice. Get this a little clearer. A little better. There. And now I'm going to put my bead on. And I'm going to create a loop on the other side. So I'm going to bend my wire back again. I want my loops to go in the same direction. So this one is going right to left here, and this one is going to go right to left as well. Grab my round nose pliers, slide my wire down about 1/3 of the way down my pliers so that I have the same size loop. Bring my wire over the top and down the side. Can't go any further because my bead is in the way. So now I'm going to open up my pliers and reposition them like so. Bring that wire under the pliers. I have to maneuver because that bead is there. And now I have a loop. Grab my square pliers, hold on to the face of my loop, and wrap just like I did the other one, right there between the pliers and the bead. 1.5 to 2 wraps, your choice, all we need. Once I have my wraps, I'm going to snip off that tail. You see, we had plenty of wire. Snip off that little tail. And push down that little end so that it won't snag on anything. So there, that is one of the major components, our wrapped bead or wrapped stone. This lace, this blue lace is really pretty. Isn't that pretty? Okay, anyway, the next thing that I'm going to do, I'm going to show you the rest of that because no, I'm not going to show you the rest yet. This one is going to be the bottom because it's going to be a dangle at the bottom. So this one's going to be wrapped just a little bit differently than this one because it needs something on the bottom of it. So again, I'm going to measure the bead, see how much I need. I'm going to need about the same inch on each side that I did that one. This is slightly larger. It's about 1 3/8. So you give myself 3 3/8 of wire. It's going to be too much, but that's okay. You're better off having too much and having to cut off what you don't need than having too little and having to start again. All right, so what I'm going to do, because I need to make a little pin out of this one, a head pin. So what I'm going to do is do an infinity head pin. So what I'm going to do is just take my wire and slide it right there on the tip of my pliers. And I'm going to make a loop. So I've got the tip of my pliers holding the tip of my wire, and I'm going to rotate, just give it a small turn, open my pliers without shifting my wire, and reposition it back. Rotate again. So I'm rotating away from myself, open my pliers, and reposition them towards me. And I'm going to keep doing that until I have a small loop. So there's my loop. Kind of overshot the mark and made a little dent there. So I'm going to get that out. Here we go. Straighten that out. There. So there's my little loop. And then I'm going to go just under my loop with my pliers like so. Flip it this way. It's easier to turn. Just like that. And I'm going to rotate towards me. I'm going to bring that first loop towards me. Open, reposition, close, and just keep doing that until I have second loop and my infinity symbol. There it is. So I'm going to straighten my wire out. I want that straight up like so. Looks like a little ribbon. So there's my little infinity symbol. Make whatever adjustments you need. Put my bead on. Straighten that out a little more. Have to wiggle it. Come on. I know you want to go through there. There you go. So there's the bottom of my pen. Isn't that pretty? It's really interesting when you get stones like this because they're not drilled a certain way. So it's a little kind of weird looking, but still pretty. I might make that the top. I think I will. So I'm going to flip that around and put my little infinity symbol on the flat side. If I can get it in there. I think it'll rest better there. Oh my goodness. There. Ooh. All right. Oh yeah, that's better. So there's my little infinity symbol. And now I need to make a loop at the top, just like I did this one. Nice wrapped loop. My symbol is, I want that to show. So this is going to be on a jump ring. So my jump ring is going to be going that way. So I remember how I said you wanted both of these loops to go the same direction. This one is going to go opposite. My infinity symbol is flat, so my loop is going to go front to back. So this is right to left, this is up and down, front to back, however you want to describe it. Bend my wire, bending it to the front. Slide my wire a third of the way down my pliers. Bring the wire over the top of my pliers and down the side as far as I can go, because this is blocking me. Reposition my pliers and work this wire between the pliers and the bead until I have a loop. There we go. Then let go of my round pliers, grab my square pliers, and wrap my loop. One wrap, right there, and one more wrap. A little bit of a challenge when you're using stones that aren't regulated as far as size and shape. That's part of the fun. Okay, then I'm going to cut off this tip. And push down that little end. There we go. And so that is my other little bead. So these are going to link together with jump rings. Go ahead and do that. So I'm going to take my jump ring. I'm going to put a pair of pliers on one side. There's several ways that you can open your jump rings. I've shown you this before, but I do like to mention it several times. You can put one pair of pliers on one side of the jump ring, another pair on the other side, and twist it open. That's one way. Another way is to get this a little clearer. Another way is to put one pair of pliers on one side of your opening. Just find that opening, and your thumb on the other side and push. And again, a nice open jump ring. Now I'm going to link them together. So I'm going to grab my jump ring and one of my beads. I'm going to slide the loop of the bead inside the jump ring loop. Get back in there. And then I'm going to slide the bead of the loop of the other bead also inside the jump ring. Now they're both in there, and I'm going to close the jump ring up. And the way I do that is just twist it, close it again. I can do it the reverse of what I did before. Pliers on one side, pliers on the other side. If I can grab it, and twist. There we go. And just make some and do some a little maneuvering to make sure that the ends of your jump ring are together. You want to make sure that they're flush together, back to back. And there we go. This is going to be the bottom, and I'm going to show you the rest of the chain in just a minute. However, I did make a boo-boo. This is not going to be linked to this. This is going to be linked to another component. So I'm going to take that part. But now you know how to link. I'll act like I did that on purpose. I didn't, but I will act like I did. So the next component that's actually going to link these two together is going to be the chaos bead. And for that, I need 5 inches of 20 gauge wire. All right. 5 inches. And the chaos beads, it depends on how thick you want it to be, how long, how large. I'm doing 5 inches because I want mine to end up being about 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch. And this is the chaos bead. Boop, that's what I'm doing. So, got that. So what I'm going to do is go down about 2 inches from one end. Bend my wire back. Make a loop. Slide my wire down around 1/3 of the way down my pliers, just like I did with my other loop. Bring that short tail of wire over the top and down the side. Open my pliers up, reposition them so that I have my little T formation. Bring that short tail under the pliers and across. So that's what I have now. Have my little loop, and now it's time to wrap. Grab my square pliers and start wrapping down my stem. And I'm just doing a very loose wrap. It doesn't have to be very long. I only need to go, where's my little bead? I only need a 1/2 inch. Where did it go? I just had it. Oh, goodness. There it is. For my purposes, I just need a 1/2 inch of wrap. So I need a 1/2 inch space here. So I need to wrap down my wire for a good 1/2 inch. And as you can see, it's not it's spaced out. The wraps are not close together. Now let's see, do I have about 1/2 inch yet? Another wrap or two, and I will have it. Yes, that does it. The 2 inches was perfect. Finish that up. And if it gets to where you can't, it's too short to wrap with your fingers, just use your pliers to finish that off. So I've got my 1/2 inch. Very good. And if you're a little short of a 1/2 inch or however long you want to make it, just measure where you want that 1/2 inch to be and go up to that point. Just measure to that point and bend your wire on the other side. So I'm going to bend that, measure it again, make sure I have 1/2 inch in between the one loop and the other. Yes, 1/2 inch. So I'm going to grab my round nose pliers, slide that long tail of bended wire under or in between the pliers about 1/3 of the way down. Bring that tail over the pliers and down the side. Open my pliers up, reposition them, clamp back down, and complete my loop. There's my loop. Check, make sure that they look about the same size. Good. And now I'm going to wrap back over these wraps in order to create my chaos bead. So I'm going to grab my square pliers again. Wrap at the top there that doesn't have anything. And then I'm going to start just wrapping nice and messily over the other wraps. And again, this is very free form. It's not supposed to be perfect. Depends on how heavy you want it, how thick you want it. Once I get to where I can't wrap it anymore, just going to push that end down in between the other wraps. There we go. Push that down. And there we go. There's my little wrap. This one's not quite as thick as this one, but that's okay. I think it's a little bit longer. But they're all going to be different. And this is what we're going to connect our beads with. So let's do that. Let's grab a jump ring again. Here we go. I'm going to open another one. Open that up with the twist. Grab one of my beads. Slide the loop of the bead inside my jump ring. Grab one of my chaos beads. Slide that inside my jump ring. And don't drop everything, or try not to. There's a lot going on here because these are some very large beads. Slide that in there and close my jump ring. Now I showed you how to do it with the pliers, and I wanted to show you that way so you could see the motion. The other way is again to do the reverse of opening it and just twist it closed with your fingers. Just like that. Very simple. And let's connect the other side. Grab another jump ring. Slide the closed loop of my bead inside my jump ring. Closed loop of the other bead inside the jump ring and closed. And this time I'm going to use the pliers. One set on each side. How many times am I going to do that? It's just, let's see how many times I can do that before I get this done. And twist. Nice. Check and make sure everything's nice and flush. And there we go. Now here's the fun part. These are already ready to go. Yay! So I'm going to attach this to the others. Pretty, pretty. Okay, grab this other jump ring over here. Oh no, there's one already on here. Never mind. Let's open this one up. Slide on the other bead and close it. There we go. Isn't that pretty? Now this could be its own necklace, but I wanted to do something even more elaborate than use these beautiful blue lace agate beads and make a necklace. This would be gorgeous all by itself. Hang it from a chain, beautiful. But we're going to do something even more fantastic with these beautiful beads. Okay, so now the other piece is going to be a chain. I'm going to give you, this is a very rough drawing and it is terrible. I don't even know if you can see what I've done here. This is the back. These are the stone beads, the big stone beads. And we're going to put 3 strands of chain across to hook it all together. So I'm going to show you how to do another little link. I've got these little stone rounds. This is very soft stone and it's really, I love it when it's very natural looking, which this very much is. Okay, so all I need again is a small piece of wire. Give myself about 3/4 to an inch of wire on each side of my bead in order to wrap it. And this is only 6 millimeters, which really only measures about 1/4 of an inch across. So 2 1/4 inches is really more than enough. So let's give myself 2 1/4 inches. Snap that off. I'm just going to eyeball it, bend it in back at about the inch mark, grab my round nose pliers that have disappeared, there they are, and make a loop. I'm going to slide my wire down about 1/3 of the way down my pliers, just like I did with the other loop, because I want a little bit of consistency, even with my freeform. Bring the tail of my wire, okay, working on it. Bring the tail of my wire, the short tail of my wire, over the top of my pliers and down the side. So there's part of my loop. Without shifting my wire, I open up my pliers and reposition them until I can bring the rest of that short tail under the pliers to make my loop. Then I'm going to grab my square pliers and wrap that loop. And again, you only need 1 or 2 wraps. It really depends on how much wire you want exposed. I'm splitting the difference and making it 1 1/2. And then I'm going to cut that little end off. It's too short for me to hold, so I'm going to use my little spool here. You can see I've dropped all kinds of wire down in there and cut it so that it lands right in my little spool and it's contained. Yay. Then I'm going to use my pliers to push down the little tail. Nice and snug. There we go. To get it as tight as I can get it down there. And then grab my bead, slide it on, and I'm going to make a loop on the other side. Again, I want both of my loops to be going the same direction. So I'm going to bend, grab my round nose pliers, slide that down about 1/3 of the way down my pliers, bring the tail over the top and down the side, like so. Open my pliers, reposition, and bring the tail the rest of the way around between my pliers and my bead. And I have my loop. Grab my flat pliers and wrap between my loop and my bead. Again, I'm going to do a 1 1/2 turn wrap. Look at how much I had left over. Once you get used to it, you know how much to get, but I would rather you err on the side of too much so that you don't have to start again. Push that little tip down. Nice and neat. And there's my bead that's going to go across the back of my neck, like this. I know you can't see what that means. It means nothing at the moment. Now we're going to link it to the rest of the back of my necklace, so I can give you a little more idea of what's going to be happening here. This is going to be the back. I'll bring this up so you can get a little more. This is going to be around the neck. And this is going to be down the side, like so. Yeah. And then I'm going to have the little chains going across. Okay, so anyway, I get excited before I get finished. Okay, so now we need to hook everything together. So I need to attach the back, what's going around the neck, to what's going down the side. Oh, there it is. Okay, so that's going to be attached here, like so. So I'm going to, yeah, so I'm going to attach my little bead to the rest of my necklace. So I'm going to open up my little jump ring that's already on here. And insert the loop to my small bead. Insert that into the jump ring. Close it up. Make sure that the ends are flush together, and then do the same on the other side. So now I'm linking the rest of the chain to that one bead. Okay, close that up. So here is the back that's going around the neck. And this is the side. Oh, make more sense. Okay. And here's what we have so far. These stems are so heavy. This is why I didn't want to make a whole necklace out of these stems. So here's what we have so far. This is the back of it. The little chain that we just put together. This is the side. And it's going to go like that. The rest of it is going to be put together with the chains that we're going to attach. So how are we going to do that? We're going to make one more little component with this other bead right here. So we're going to make a little hook. And I'm going to be making a beaded S hook. It's going to be a little clasp that we're going to use to attach the chain and the beads. Let's just leave that like that for now. I'm going to go ahead and bring out the chain. So this is what we have so far. And here is the chain. Here's how the chain is going to work. We're going to have 3 pieces of chain that are going to hook this whole piece together. Pieces here. So you are going to decide how long you want your chains to be. Just for frame of reference for me, I did 3 chains all in different lengths, and they're going to need to be in different lengths because they're going to be at different angles. So my first chain they're going to go here, here, and here. So my first chain is going to go make sure it's all in the camera where you can see. This is why I said I couldn't describe it to you. Okay, so my first chain is going to go across here. Like that. My second chain is going to be attached to the loop, and it's going to go here. My third chain is going to go here. So that's what we're doing. It's really hard to describe until you see all of the pieces and you start putting it together. Now, what I need to do now is create a link that will link all of these chains to the beaded strip that goes across the back, across your neck. So I need to make a little clasp, and I'm going to do a beaded S clasp because I think they're pretty. Okay, so what we're going to do is take about 5 inches of wire. It doesn't take very much to do a beaded S. So let me grab my ruler, give myself 5 inches of wire. Actually, probably more like 4. It doesn't really take a lot. It depends on how many wraps you want in the center. So I'm going to go ahead and take my bead, feed it on my wire, like so. Then I've got it right there in the center. I'm going to wrap one side around the bead one time. Like so. Then I'm going to follow it around with the other side. Now, you're going to be tempted to want to go in the opposite direction, but don't. We're following it around. And just wrapping the wire around itself until we have a little spiral. And then I'm going to stop when I have about an inch of wire right here on this side where the first little drilled opening is. So there's my little opening. There's my wire. And you want to make sure you have at least an inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch to an inch. On the other side, the same thing. So I'm going to cut that off until they're the same length. Just snip that off. I've got, very good, 1 inch. Other side. And 1 inch, good. Okay, so now we're going to make our little hook. So what I want to do is make a little loop. Almost finished, prompting me to get moving. So the first thing that I want to do is make a little I'm going to make a little hook. So what I want to do is make a small loop towards in the direction of the bead. So here's my bead, here's my wire. I'm going to make a little loop. Very tiny loop. And it has to be very, very tiny because you need to be able to hook your chains over it. So I'm going to go right here to the very tip. Sorry, right here to the very tip of my pliers with the very tip of my wire. That's going to be a bit of a challenge, but if you kind of what I call choke up on the wire and hold on to it, just rest the wire and the pliers against your finger, you have a better chance of making this loop without too much trouble. So just turn that, open, turn it a little more, check it out. Make sure you only go around about 3/4 of the way. Once you get half to 3/4 of the way of a loop, stop. Then you're going to take your pliers, your square pliers, and you're going to squeeze that together because we don't really want a loop here. We want a little nub, the tiniest little nub that you can make. So I'm going to squeeze right here from the bottom, that little tip, squeeze it towards the top of the wire. Nice and tight. There we go. I just want to close that off. So there we have it. Yes. And now I'm going to make my little shepherd's hook. So I'm going to go slide my pliers slide my wire down my pliers about 3/4 of the way. And I'm going to, right here under the tip, why am I so far away? Right here under the tip of my wire, I'm going to, here's the bottom of the tip. I'm going to rotate in the opposite direction. Just rotate a little bit at a time so you can control it until you have a shepherd's hook. And I'm going to do that on the other side of a little shepherd's hook. Let's go to the other side and do the same thing. I'm going to make a tiny little loop going in the direction of where my bead is. So there's my bead. Grab my round nose pliers. Right here on the tip of my pliers with the tip of my wire. Bead is here. That's the direction that we're going. Okay, small turns until you have about half to 3/4 turn or loop. Go back in there. A little bit more. Here we go. And then I'm going to grab my square pliers. Squeeze that bottom towards the top till I have a little nub. There we go. Yes. Okay. Go back in with my round nose pliers. Slide my, get that straight. Slide my wire down about 3/4 of the way down my pliers. Then I'm going to rotate away from the bead. So first little loop goes towards the bead. This loop goes away from the bead. And just small turns until I have a little shepherd's hook. There we go. And you can just make whatever little adjustments you want to make on how it looks. Very swan-like. There we go. And now I can show you how we are going to connect it. Yay. So that's going to be our connector right there. All right, so now what we want to do is grab our chain. First thing I'm going to do is attach it to the length of chain that goes across my neck. Then I'm going to attach one piece of chain. Actually, this one needs to go first because it's on the bottom. The one that's on the bottom goes first on your hook. The second one goes second, and the one on the top goes last. So I'm going to attach my bottom chain to my clasp. Let's get in on there. Now you can see why it needs to be a teeny tiny little loop, or little nub as I like to call it. Okay, slide the second one on. Now you can, if you would like, use a jump ring to attach this. I just wanted it a little bit cleaner, so I'm not using a jump ring. I'm attaching the chain directly to my clasp. Second one and the last one. Go. And now we need to attach it on the other side. Remember I said this is more about the construction of it? The design is what makes this one. So that's going there, that's going there, and that is going there. All right. Yes. Okay, so I have my little jump rings here. I need to open the first jump ring. All right, so I'm going to open the jump ring that's right under my first stone bead. I want to make sure that you don't take the other links apart. All I'm doing is attaching my first chain. So I'm going to open up that jump ring, slide in my chain. It's that last link of the chain. And close it. And then we're going to do the same thing on the next jump ring. This one's just under the second bead. Open that up. Chain. Last link in the chain in the jump ring. And close. Make sure it's nice and tight. And then the same on the last one. My third stone, which is the third, it's right in the center. Open up the jump ring. Slide on the last link of my last chain and close. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is our necklace. I'm going to put it on my little dress, my little form, and show you what it looks like. And there it is. There's our necklace. Now you can see why I could not describe it. It's an asymmetrical necklace. I can't describe what it is except to say that it's one of those that you have to show. But this is it. This is our piece. And I just absolutely love it. Now, you need to decide the placement because this is going to go right under your neck. For me, that's perfect because I have my little thyroidectomy scar and it goes right across. So it's perfect. So you need to decide where you want these to go. If you don't want this many beads, you don't have to have that many beads. You can take one of those off and just have something a little less long. Now, excuse me, this is 12 inches. I've got 12 inches of beads here. Across the back, I have 9 inches. So that's 21 inches. Not too long. It's pretty standard, just a little bit longer than standard. And I think it works really, really well. This is right, not quite, it's a little longer or deeper than collar length. This gives it about 17 inches, and this goes down to about 18 inches. The rest of it gives it about a 21-inch drop, which is really, really nice. So that, we're almost there. So that is our piece for today. That's our asymmetrical stone necklace, and I hope that you liked it. I really do, because I've been wanting to do this for a while, and it's just kind of a passion piece for me. So I hope that you like this as much as I liked doing it, and pull away now so you can look at me. Oh, isn't that gorgeous? What can I say? I hope you like this, and I hope you'll let me know what you think and what you thought about it. This was a little bit difficult to instruct because of the different pieces. I had to make sure that I had some of the pieces put together. This would have taken forever. It really doesn't take long to do, but trying to show how to do it would have taken a lot more time than I wanted to make you sit through. Once you get the basics of the construction, it's all in how you put it together. So this is our statement piece. I hope you like the statement we made and are making with this piece. I hope you could follow me. I hope the directions were clear. Please let me know. I'd like to know what your thoughts are. And I hope the video is a little clearer this time. But get in touch with me at jewelrygen20@gmail.com. That's JEWELRY to JEWELRYGIN20@gmail.com, and let me know what you thought. Also, you can get in contact, you can leave a comment on the Facebook page, which is facebook.com/DeKalbLibrary. That's facebook.com/DEKALBLIBRARY, or YouTube, youtube.com/DeKalbLibrary. That's youtube.com/DEKALBLIBRY. Oh my goodness. LIBRARY, leaving out the A, library. So I hope to hear from you. Let me know what you thought one way or the other, good, bad, indifferent. I really like to hear from you. And until next time, enjoy the rest of your week. I hope this wasn't too long. Enjoy your weekend, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.